Hey everybody, it's John again from Gasper's Automotive Restoration. I know it's been a long time since we've had a video here. We've been really busy here at the shop, but we finally got back to it. I wanted to give you guys an update on what's going on in here. We've got some new projects, we've got a couple of old projects to update you on, and we have a brand new lift, 18,000 pound truck lift. It's a Rotary, it's awesome. So stay tuned and check it out. Okay, we're going to start down here in the old lift bay. We've got our two-post lift here, and a 1931 Model A Ford. We ended up not using the lift for this. We ended up, well, we had a little problem. We had to take the rear end out, and this rear end just about completely blew apart. I was able to still make the car move. I was able to get it back down the street. I was just down the street, maybe a tenth of a mile, not even. And all of a sudden, there was some really bad noises coming from this thing. It had already been getting loud, and it sounded like the transmission. When you're in the car, it sounds like the transmission. But because of this torque tube, the sound was being amplified all the way up to the transmission. And I had checked the transmission before, took the top off. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything was perfect inside. And so this thing, all of a sudden the car comes to a screeching halt. And I was able to back up about 2-3 miles an hour, turn around a driveway, put it in first, creep back 2-3 miles an hour back to the shop, and we got it inside. And this thing, the rear end here it's winter here. This rear end was inside the shop, but it shouldn't be warm at all. It should be cold. I only drove a tenth of a mile, and this thing was warm. I put my arm on it, and it was actually warm to the touch. Not hot, but warm. So something's definitely grenaded in there. But this thing has worn out axle shafts. It needs rebuilt axle shafts. It has early Ford hydraulic brakes on it. This car's been set up like that years ago, so that's cool. But we're going to be sending this rear differential here to Millworks Hot Rod in New Hampshire, and they specialize in early Fords. We've mentioned them many times on our YouTube channel in the past. They're great guys. They're experts with early Ford cars and Model A's. And so I'm just going to send this up there and have this thing rebuilt by them. They have all the special tools needed and everything for this. So we're going to get that done. And they'll be able to turn it around pretty quick for us. But we want to get this Model A back on the road. Then we have a new project here for the shop. Another new project. This is a 1922 Fordson tractor. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, John, you usually do fire engines and sometimes you do cars. Why are you doing a tractor? Well, this tractor is owned by a very good customer, and he wants this thing completely restored top to bottom. Years ago, they had the rear wheels sandblasted and powder coated, and we were able to find the original place they had it done at, so we're going to get the front wheels done. The same color. We put the tires on here about a month ago just to get this tractor up on its wheels because the rear tires were so bad this thing couldn't even be rolled. So that is all set now. It's rolling. The engine is free, but we've got some problems. You put it in gear and the tractor could still roll. So there's something going on in the transmission. We've got to find out what that is, and it needs a complete restoration. So keep your eyes open, your ears open for that one, because that's coming soon. Then we got another project here for the Connecticut Fire Truck and Bus Museum in East Windsor, Connecticut. It's a place where I volunteer, and it's got a collection of 15 antique buses, antique fire trucks, and 7 vintage buses. And this is going into a 1937 Aaron's Fox. Now, this is a 292 Chevy, circa 1977-78 time frame, and it has a 1960s Muncie, I believe it's a 265 synchronized transmission on the back here. We went through and checked this thing. We checked the transmission. We did not rebuild it. It didn't need to be rebuilt. We did the band brake back here and checked it out inside, but there's nothing wrong with it. We did a new clutch, and we checked out took the cylinder head off, did a quick valve lap. There was nothing wrong with the valves. There's nothing wrong with the engine. Pulled the pan, checked that, cleaned it. Everything was in great shape, so put it all back together with new gaskets, sealed it up really good, and we replaced all of the auxiliaries. So the water pump, we rebuilt the HEI, good old GM HEI ignition. It needed a distributor cap, and I decided to put a new coil on it while we were there. And we did a fuel pump, starter motor. All the auxiliaries in this engine have been redone. In fact, we've got a carburetor, which is right in that box right there, fresh from the rebuilder, so we're going to put that on later today too. So this is a cool project. You'll be seeing a video on this coming up in the next month or so. It's really exciting. Now you might also be saying, hey John, why are you putting a modern Chevy engine in the fire truck? I know. You know, you're supposed to stay with the original engine. Well, the fact is that the truck doesn't have the original engine in it anyway. It's a government rebuild from World War II, Hercules, and it's an RXC Hercules. It's got all kinds of problems, and the amount of work and effort to go and try to rebuild that engine and fix that is you know, not worth our time. This is a used motor. We didn't have this rebuilt. We just cleaned it and painted it, so it looks like it's new, but it's not. It runs really good, and it's going to be totally fine for our museum. And you know what? It's an appropriate replacement engine that you would have been able to put in there, and you would have seen in the 1960s or 70s when the Hercules and all those other companies, Waukesha, were all going out of business and you couldn't get an engine. Well, if you still needed your fire truck, here you go. If you couldn't get your engine rebuilt, this is a cheap, reliable way to do it. It's an inline six. It's going to fit in there and be somewhat comparable to what was in there. So, but it's going to look good. We're excited. So check out our video on that coming up. Then we've got Stoughton, Massachusetts, 1928 Maxim fire engine. This is about ready to go to Gold Leaf. We've been putting a lot of work into this. This is going to be fired up here in the next day or two. We've just got to get the distributor on there, and we're going to go get the Gold Leaf done out in Massachusetts and then bring it back here for final assembly. But we're just going through and adding on all the bling here for the pump, gauges, everything's hooked up. Got the dashboard up here, all looking really nice. Got this beautiful steering wheel. So this is really coming out nice. Got the wood in the bed here. It's looking really, really good. So we're excited about this one. You should see another video just on this truck coming up soon too. Going to try to do that. And as we move down, we've got an empty space here for another project that's coming in for Guilderland, New York. That's going to be here very shortly. It's in storage upstairs right now, but that'll be in there. And we're going to get going on that. We've got an engine problem. And here is the brand new lift. This is a Rotary 18,000 pound truck lift. It's awesome. It just got installed yesterday. We're super stoked about this. And it just makes things so much easier to work on a big truck like this. Instead of laying on our backs and getting all twisted up in a knot doing that, we can stand like a human being and work on these things. I wish I had bought one of these a long time ago, but it just wasn't in the budget. So, and we've got Clinton, Connecticut's 1929 Maxim here on the lift to christen it. First truck on the lift. Looking really good. Mechanically, she's coming together. Got a Buddha 6-cylinder, which is very common in Maxims of the 20s. They use these engines a lot. They're a really good engine. They run great, good power, reliable. And Clinton's truck here is cosmetically is really nice. It's probably I'd say a 70s or early 80s restoration. I'm just guessing on that. I don't know for sure, but someone did a good job on this thing. It's Is it a show queen? No, it's not the show queen, but whoever did it did a nice job on it. It looks very presentable. It's above average, I would say, on restorations that I've seen, amateur restorations. It's definitely above average, and it looks very nice and shows very nice. So we're happy to have this truck in here. We'll just give you guys a little quick overview of this guy here. In the back, we got the fire trucks are really handy. You've got a part storage area built in, the hose bed, so that makes things easy. And they stripped the truck for me, which is great. I love it when the fire departments take the stuff off. It just gets in the way, especially ladders. That's the worst. They hang off the back of the truck, and you bump your head on them. But here's the dash. Probably going to be getting some of these gauges sent out, get them rebuilt. And we're going to fix some of these switches here too. Got a light switch cover on there. So this truck is in for a complete wiring harness. We're going to build that in-house and install that. We're going to go through every light fixture, every switch, and make it like new electrically, so it's safe, and it's going to have a battery kill switch, which this does not. Most fire trucks that come in here don't have one of these, and you know, if there's a fire, how am I going to get to the battery? I'm going to fumble around and try to unscrew this, and meanwhile the truck's lighting on fire and burning down, and you know, we got to get in here. And then, oh, I need a wrench. Oh, I don't have, anybody got a 1/2 inch? Hey, Bob! Hey, you got a 1/2 inch wrench? Bob, hey! Oh, hey, run, Bob, hurry! No, it's silly. We've got, we're gonna put a battery kill switch on this thing, and probably get a better battery than the Duralast Platinum. We run interstates here at our shop. We go with the Cadillac. So interstate batteries are really, really good batteries. And then back to the engine here, I'm about ready to take this exhaust manifold off. This exhaust and intake manifold set is leaking all over the place. It's annoying, it drives me crazy, and we got all the gaskets coming from the supplier, and we're just gonna check this out. Hopefully nothing is cracked. It's just a matter of maybe machining some of these surfaces and getting them straight. I don't know. So let's find out and see what happens here. I got the rest of these bolts out. Well, that was handy. That just fell right there. Huh, great. Made that easy. All right, let's see here. This is supposed to slide off. Whoop, hey, there we go. Look at that. Came right out. So when you take a manifold off, you need to do some detective work. Looks like someone had put a gasket on here not that long ago, but it really wasn't on there that great. Something's not square. Here's a big leak. This is where we felt some exhaust coming out, and also back in the corner here, we had a big leak. And yeah, that was leaking too. The donut here, these are an asbestos-filled brass ring that they make. These are new old stock. You can get these at vintage gasket suppliers. A lot of them have these NOS in piles and boxes full of these things. They were very common, used on all kinds of trucks, Mack truck, Maxim fire truck, you know, whatever kind of truck back then. It just depended on the exhaust pipe diameter. So these are pretty easily available, and this one obviously was not long enough and not working correctly. So we are going to get another one, or double it up. You can also double these up to make sure that they compress and push in far enough. This looks like it wasn't doing anything, so we might have to double that up. So that's that. We come down here to our manifold, and we're going to want to look here. Here's our two leaks we had. This is upside down right now. and then this end here seemed to be pretty good. But this is, you know, if you have leaks on your intake manifold, which is going to be the small holes here, you're going to have all kinds of problems with gas flow. Things not going to run right. This engine was not running right. I got it to run much better, but still not where I wanted it. So we're going to pull this apart. We're going to take these nuts off here, take this all off, and find out what's going on inside this thing here, because I have a feeling that this has some cracks or some holes in it that are messing up our gas flow. But let's find out. Okay, so just like everything at Gasper's Automotive Restoration, everything here is ancient. I have an ancient level here. This is something I found at an antique store or a swap meet. This has got to be, gosh, 110 years old, you know, from the teens or something. I don't know how old it is, but it comes in a really old wooden box, and it is very straight. So it's very accurate. And what you do is you put your straight edge down here, and you look at you go across all of your ports like this, and you want to look down in here, and I don't know if you can see that, but there's the light gap right there. You can see that light coming through, little tiny little sliver of light. That is a warped exhaust manifold. So these manifolds here are cupped like this. They're concave, and they are not seating right. So that needs to get fixed. We're going to have to grind this, machine this manifold as a set, and make sure that it is perfectly straight from one end to the other. So that's that. Now we're going to take this apart and see what's going on there. I wanted to do this first before we took it apart. So because this comes off of here. So here is the exhaust heater port here. This is where the exhaust is brought into the engine to warm the intake air, which is going down the center here, and then the exhaust is going around the outside, and it's going down through this pipe onto the ground. So if the exhaust is intruding into this center chamber with that hole right there, and looks like there's a bolt there. Someone had repaired a hole before and put a bolt in there. That was a pretty smart idea. The exhaust is going to be going into that intake, and your gas flow going into the carburetor is going to be all messed up, and it's not going to flow right, and the engine's not going to run right. It's going to run okay, but it's going to have a skip and a spit and sputter, and that hole is pretty big. It's about 1/4 inch in diameter. That's a lot of exhaust gas being shoved in there, and that's going to pressurize that intake manifold the wrong way and mess up that gas flow, so it's not going to be running as correct as it should. So what do we do about this? Well, what I've done in the past is I filled this entire cavity with lab metal. It's an aluminum compound. You mix it in a can, you put it in here, and it dries and hardens up like concrete, and it's like solid metal, like aluminum. You got to sandblast this thing and clean it up. So we're going to probably have to do that to make this thing right. So I'm going to order up a can of that today, and we'll fix that hole there. Other than that, the manifold is in great shape. I don't see any damage here or nothing. It looks like it's in really good shape. Let's take this thing off and see what it looks like here. Boy, it's being stubborn. There we go. Okay. Looks like someone's repaired this before. There was some sort of wear. They brazed this and cleaned it up. That's the only repair I could find. Everything else looks great. This is in good shape. The gasket surfaces are not pitted. Usually these are all pitted and messed up, so that's a good sign. It's a little thin here. It's getting a little thin, but it'll work. So, all right. Now another thing you can do here too is we could put a plate right across this and stop all the exhaust gas from coming in. I may just do that as an easier thing. We'll put a piece of sheet metal right across there. We'll put a piece of sheet metal right across there and eliminate that problem. Okay, everybody, so that rounds out our little shop tour, and we took the manifold off there. We're gonna do some more work on that manifold, machine up some stuff, and probably do another video and show you after that's all cleaned up, and we'll bolt it back on this thing and see how it runs. It's supposed to run really good. So anyway, if you like this video, click bleep bloop down below, subscribe, and keep that old iron running.